is going on, everyone? Hope you guys are all having a good day. So we enjoyed those fun little clips too at the beginning. Gonna be talking today with you guys about the Thor, and I played the Thor fairly exclusively last night on the stream, and kind of want to break down for you guys what I think is good about the ship, what I think is bad about the ship, so that you guys can come to your own conclusion and as well give you guys an idea of what it does well and what it doesn't do well. So talking about the Thor here, I'm gonna break this down. And let's scroll through. Where are my Thor stats? Played 25 games in the Thor last night, and that was both in divisions as well as solo. At a 56% win rate. We'll get into that in a moment. We did have a very, very nice average experience per game at 2.4k average experience, as well as we were doing 112k, 112.5k per game, which according to WoW's numbers is okay for this boat. We did get an E in this boat, and keep in mind that E level threshold is at about 2.6k base experience. So almost every game that we played last night was, either an E or darn close to an E through the duration of this playthrough. That being said, with this average experience being what it is, kind of would have expected this number to be a little bit higher. I'm gonna go down and break down a little bit why I think this number did not kind of follow what that number did. One of the reasons why, and it's both a blessing and a curse, are going to be the guns. So as you guys saw in the beginning, the guns do very well when you get all the guns onto target and they actually perform well. And again, 406s you should be making, if you're playing tier 10 Battleship, you should be able to make 406s work. If you can't, you have to question what we're doing playing Battleship at tier 10. However, the 406s are very, very nice in one aspect as to the velocity is pretty good, and they aren't as floaty or as derpy as like the American 406s, which makes it very, very nice to get the guns on, or the guns and the shells on target once the guns are actually aimed. However, once they are aimed and you get the shells down range, it's kind of a crapshoot as to what they're going to do. They tend to be very, very wonky. The Desperto does goofy things and just perform overall inconsistently. So one of the both blessing and the curses of this particular boat. The other thing to keep in mind and consider too, one of the definite curses of this boat, and I was asked this, the armor does not hold up. The way that I was describing the armor on stream last night is that the armor definitely feels like what the Prince Adalbert's armor is, and particularly if we're looking like we're here at this fantail for this Adalbert, how the Prince Adalbert's armor holds up for a heavy cruiser feels very, very similar to how the Thor's armor holds up for a battleship. Again, if we look here at the armor layout, nothing too crazy, everything's kind of okay here. But where the problem really comes in line are all these different goofy angles and stuff like this, in particular like here, here, and here, and stuff like that. Why that is, and I'm going to point out two particular types of boat that this thing does really, really poorly against. It's going to be spammy type boats with floaty shells. Looking at the Brennan and the Hawaii, again, well, most boats do bad against them in particular, but this boat in particularly eats a crap ton of damage from both of those ships. The other thing that it does really, really poorly against is secondary boats. For whatever reason, secondaries just end up kind of floating in here and finding all of these different goofy angles, and then you end up taking full pens from secondaries that feel like you're getting Citadel, and it does really, really poorly in that regard. So things to keep in mind in regards to how you play this boat. I was having to be really, really cognizant of that fact, in particular late game, when you're trying to position what should be your battleship and your battleship role for your team, and putting the boat in a situation where you can help out your team best. So be really cognizant of that. Other thing that's really nice, it gets very usable torpedoes, as you saw, 15-kilometer torps. Very, very good speed on them too. They do 70 knots. It's pretty more than good, okay? And the other thing that's very, very nice is this AA suite is nothing it's awesome. The AA suite is very, very nice. I think I had 3 or 4 AA defense experts last night throughout those 25 games, and of course not every game is going to have a CV, If you are a CV player, put a big giant X over this boat. You do not want to engage it. Keep that in mind. The AA is very nice to say, 97 rating overall with nothing being built into the AA. Just this is what it is stock. So very, very fantastic AA suite, as well as these 120s kick out some wonderful, just AA flak bursts that are exquisite and chef's kiss. So very, very nice AA suite. Finally, we get a boat that has a stellar AA suite. Um, Other things that are very, very nice about this boat, it does get an engine boost. The one thing that I want to point out about the engine boost is keep some in reserve. As I mentioned before, if you are, you can get yourself into advantageous positions with it. Again, you might bite off a little bit more than you can chew because it will be so quick at times, and you might overextend. So keep that in mind. But the other thing to keep in mind is keep some in reserve. Why? If you see something that's approaching you and you're getting close to something secondary range, you want to kick it in high gear and get away from that. Or say I'm getting too close to Hawaii or something like that that I know is on the mini map. Kick in, you want to do damage to something else on the map because that is a little bit more key for you as opposed to just eating chunk damage from Hawaii or Brennan. Want to keep some of that in reserve. The other thing that's very, very nice for it, it does get surveillance radar. It goes out to 10 kilometers. It's very, very usable, in particular if you're divved with a DD or something like that, being helpful for them, as well as mixed with your torpedoes. So you could potentially, do things where you put that on there, I suppose, if you wanted to, if you're doing like a meme div or something like that, potentially. The other question that I did get asked on my stream, hey Dan, can you like build it into secondaries because I don't want to have to like think and like aim my guns and I just want the AI to do that for me. Could you do that? I mean, I suppose you could, but I would not recommend that. Why would I not recommend that? I'm gonna point this over for you guys real quick. Secondaries are only going out to 8 kilometers, so if we're building that into secondaries, we're getting it out to what, 10.5 or something like that. And there aren't a whole hell of a lot of them, so it's not really worth it from that standpoint, from the damage that you're going to be doing at the range that you're going to be doing it. You don't know the accuracy and stuff like that in regards to this. The other thing to keep in mind then too, what does it become? If the guns are already kind of meh from an accuracy standpoint, with it not being built into secondaries, just think about how much worse they are going to be if you are building it into secondaries and then your guns, you don't have main guns that are going to perform at all. So keep that in mind because basically, if you were to do that, you are just going to turn this into a big 7,600 hit point speedy Torp YOLO Emilio that is going to do one thing and then just get absolutely hammered by the enemy team. That's why I would not build that into secondaries. Hopefully that explained that. So keep that in mind. The other thing that I would consider here too, and again, even though I won every one of my leaderboards here, -1 where I took second, I was not able to complete the collection for this particular captain. The captain would obviously make this boat particularly better. The one thing that I would recommend, and I did play around with a couple of these different captain builds. I think this is now my third captain build here. Um, is grease the gears. Grease the gears is going to be a must on this particular boat. The turrets are a little bit sluggish, but there are going to be two other additional factors with that. As I mentioned before, you almost need to get all three turrets online in order to have the salvos be worthwhile from an accuracy standpoint. So keep that in mind. You're going to want to get all those turrets around to aim at a particular target. Otherwise, it's kind of not worth it from an accuracy standpoint. It's not really a boat that you are going to be pointing and clicking on because unless you have to, um, because the rewards, it just ain't there. The other thing to keep in mind, if you got a boat in particular that you're using with a speed boost, and this one goes very, very quick, and this without it, and I did do it, this without it, if you guys are familiar, it will do that thing where if you're going at full speed and you're trying to aim at a particular thing, the turrets will just kind of like skip like that as you're trying to get the guns around onto that particular target. So having greased the gears and utilizing that particular skill will help diminish that a bit. So kind of some of the things I want to point out there for you guys. Hopefully that helps you out. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys now some expert gameplay footage of this. Alright guys, so let's get into it. Got that Thor replay here for you. This is going to be some expert game footage here from the Thor from last night. And I'm with Mr. Glares, a wonderful, wonderful friend and DD player here in the Cassard. We are on Sea of Fortune, and if we look at what we're against here, we got a Hayate, a Z-52, and a Benson on the human team. Also, a Yamato, a Zvanzarker, Los Andes, a Valparaiso, Alsace, Benito, Hawaii. So, as mentioned before in that review of the Thor, some secondary boats, as well as a spammy type HE floaty boat that this particular armor layout does not bode well towards. Right away, as we look at, we've got an even DD lineup here, and I'm going to try my best to help out Glaris here in his Cassard. Being that I have radar, if something comes into Bravo, I can potentially radar the back, or even if there's a cruiser there, I can maybe combat that for him as well. And that's exactly what we're going to try to do here as he makes his way in there. On our team, we've got a ERP Yamato, myself, Los Andes, John Bart, Prior, Bismarck, Ohio, Jinan, Mogador, Alvaro, and a kid, as well as Mr. Glaris. So yeah, let's see what we can do here. And this is going to be, I think, even though this is an expert game, this is going to kind of still highlight some of the pitfalls of the boat here in the Thor, as well as some of the things that it's going to do very, very nicely. Being that I'm trying to be aggressive here and get a chance to radar to help out Galeris, I'm kind of taking up a line in between that 6-7 line there on the map, where I can maybe get some torps off, radar, and then spin around, do the old Missy Elliott and flip it and reverse it here. Or at least that's going to be the plan. Let's see how this all works out and shapes up in this particular game. And we got Glaris already contesting the cap there. And those shells look pretty spammy. That is going to be the Hawaii. We have spotted the Benito there, as well as the Los Andes is there as well. And the Prince Van Orange. I'm kind of looking for shots on the Van Orange that would have been had like a moment where I could have maybe gotten some rounds off, but we didn't. And we hit the radar there, and we're going to be able to radar the Benson here.
All stations requesting
and,
fire on the
designated
designated target.
idea of where the Benson
Concentrate fire
is.
on the enemy warship.
Glaris being fairly aggressive in the spot where he's at, and he spots the Hawaii, who transversely is going to spot me. I'm looking for some torps there into the Hawaii. They are working over the Benson, and I'm going to utilize my speed boost to get on out of here. So hopefully I do not eat any of the damage from the Hawaii. As I mentioned before, it does very, very poorly. However, the Hawaii is now working over Glaris, as well as the Van Orange has torps on, or planes on him. Just missed those Benson Peds. And you can see here too the very, very slow turret traverse when mixed with that speed boost in a turn. Was not allowing me to get further shots off into the Hawaii. Hawaii goes dark. Kind of looking back here towards the Los Andes, seeing what I can do. Done a fair amount of plane damage as well, even though we only got one plane kill with 3.5k damage to the planes as well. Trying to help out Glaris, so we get a Pede there into the Hawaii, which is nice because he is as well flooding pretty more gooder. Glaris is kind of taking up this flank here. Still flooding into that Hawaii. Looking over here on the Benito right now. Trying to get my shells around there. And again, the 406s, you got to see how flat they are, but look how quick the reload is. Fairly quick reload here for such a high caliber. And this Hawaii, I don't know if he anticipated me being in the position that I am as quickly as I am. And I'm just waiting now for that perfect shot there. And we're going to hurt this Hawaii here pretty good. There's like a 20 whatever K salvo into the Hawaii with Citadel damage there. And secondary is kind of working him over. I'm going to actually push the Hawaii. Being that he is so low, I can tank a little bit of this. And furthermore, I'm just going to get him out of here. and he is getting hammered from everyone across there. There's my first kill of the game. We're up to 47k, 15k spotting, as well as 360k potential damage tanked. But look at the damage that we took there, just from the Hawaii that quickly. And he was cutting out, so he didn't even have all of his guns on me. And we've already lost a quarter of our HP. No doubt within a sustained battle here, the Thor does not do well against Hawaii's. Still looking back towards shots on the Veneto here, waiting for him to kind of turn and give me a broadside. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And we look on the map too, we got an Alsace over there. We get a nice 24k salvo into the Veneto. So pretty nice already at 71k. Going to try to get some torps up there towards the Veneto and the PVO, thinking that they might come through. Looking back for shots on the Alsace, and I'm not going to be able to get all of my guns onto the Alsace because I do want to kind of stay somewhat angled. You can see I only ate a secondary there, and look how much damage I ate from just an Alsace secondary for that brief moment. And now we shoot the Alsace as he pulls up and through. We do get a Citadel score there. That's another, whatever, 14k from that one pen, so that's pretty nice. Now I have to kind of angle into the Yamato. I'm using my speed boost, as I mentioned before, to try to evade this Yamato and get away here. Yamato showing me a nice broadside there. And you can kind of see the plane damage that we're going to get here into the PVO's planes, as well as picking up a Citadel there into the Yamato up to 99k there. And we just scored 5 plane kills there from the PVO. So that's pretty nice. My torps are still there, so that's going to push that PVO out and away a little bit. Looking back for more shots into the Veneto, but the PVO shows up and he's giving me kind of a decent broadside here. Gonna kind of wait, as I mentioned before, to try to get all of my guns onto this PVO and do some damage to them. And another nice bit of chunk damage there into the PVO, putting us up to 116k damage. So that's pretty nice. He's at half HP. However, I am also at half HP. And you can just see this thing eat damage here. Looking for more shots on the Veneto here. Kind of aiming up because he is kind of kited outward. More planes from the Van Orange, and you can just see the AA kind of work that over. Pretty solid there. Another 4 plane kills there. Hayate shows up here randomly. I think the Hayate might have forgotten that the Thor gets radar. He does manage to take out both of my torp tubes though on that other side, and he is going to get a torpedo into me. Up to 122k here, and my radar is about to come off cooldown here. And we're hurting here now. Definitely hurting. But there is my radar, and we do get some rounds into this Hayate, as well as our teammates are going to be able to work them out. I put up some speculative peds in case he tries to escape out and up. I'm still kind of trying to slow play this here. This 2v1 is not good for me, especially with my other 2 battleships behind me being engaged with trying to take out that Hayate. So trying to go dark, utilizing some of the good concealment on the Thor. Gonna just briefly put some torpedoes up this way. As you know, you've seen torpedoes are pretty solid here and get some nice range. So in case that, you know, Veneto kind of turns down, I might have a chance to clip him with the torp or this PVO if the PVO is not running hydro. So yeah, as I'm backing up here though, we're gonna get some more shots here into the PVO again. Solid damage, 7.2k. No Citadels there. That's alright. Guns actually, believe it or not, weren't that wonky for a change. So that's okay though. Kind of hurting, down to 7k HP is what it is. As mentioned before, this boat takes damage pretty quickly. We are still down on points here, or maybe that's part of the replay bug, I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess that's part of the replay bug, but the game definitely still feels close, and potentially like a losable game here. So let's see, we're gonna try to heal up here. Glarus is taking some damage. And unfortunately, Glarus goes down to the Valparaiso, so that makes me aware of where the Valparaiso is on the map. Way over there. And we do get torps into the Veneto as well as finish him off. So, as mentioned before, nice to have those torps and just use them defensively here. Looking for shots into the Yamato while trying to stay dark here. Looking for his cheek kind of to get this Citadel off. and that's kind of going to be the plan. We do get a double Citadel there for 27k into the Yamato. Pretty good. Our Los Andes is wanting nothing to do with the Salt States. That's fine. Game's kind of at hand here for the most part. However, they do still have, you know, that Valparaiso that's in game here. And this All States that's turning around. He's at 6k HP. So I'm kind of just going to go for it here. Throw off a peed there. I don't know that I really need to do this. I had enough of a flat part of the surface where that was pretty much guaranteed there. Definitely 8 more damage though. We do pick up our Confederate. That PVO and that other Yamato are still out there trying to be cheeky breaky. I'm just working this island now, looking for more shots into the Yamato here. We're on 3 kills at the moment. That island jut out thing, I think I might be able to wrap some of my shells around it. So, and that's what we're going to do. Still going to shoot at the Yami. Kind of overload that. We only get the 1 over penetration there. That's okay. That is what it is. It happens. But yeah, he's looking a little worse for wear, and I think I can still get some more rounds here into the Yami. Honestly, could have led that back a little bit more. We still pick up the Citadel. And the kill, picking up our 4th kill there, we're at a 203k damage there. Pretty nice. Again, slow playing this. We're, again, as mentioned before, other ships, I might be a little bit more aggressive here on the PVO. But given my HP, I kind of slow played that for a minute. Pick up another Citadel, another 4 penetrations there on the Valparaiso. This PVO is getting worked, and basically that's going to be it for the game for me. Our team continues to do a fantastic job here. This PVO is doing what they can to try to extend the game and maybe get a little bit more damage. However, they do go down to the Los Andes there. So I'm speeding this up and through here. Okay, kind of get to that. Look for shots on the Valpar, really don't have them. The Narvins over there as well. However, they are pretty well behind that island. Can't get anything on them. Looking for more shots on the Valparaiso just to get cheese a little bit more damage there. The Nari or whatever goes down. Cheese another 2.7k out of the Valparaiso. And our team, again, the replay bug's throwing me off, but our team's up. Game's almost over. Valparaiso takes out the Hawaii. Get another salvo in there. A little bit more damage, bringing our total up to 236k there. Would have been nice to get around that island a little bit more, or sooner rather, so that I could have, you know, maybe done some more damage here at the end, or potentially picked up my Kraken. But given that I was on 8.5k HP, I didn't want to do that. Valparaiso lives, and there is the victory. So yeah, let's see how we did. That is the victory. That's the E badge in the Thor with a Confederate, a Dreadnought, and a high caliber achievement with 4 kills, 2 assist and destruction, 9 Citadels. Again, as mentioned before, the flatness of the 406s and the fact that it's 406s, you should be doing that if you can. However, the wonkiness of the Desperto at anything more than the ranges that we were at are not going to be beneficial. Getting some nice torps there on the Hawaii with that Flood, as well as finishing off that Veneto with some torps. 11 planes shot down. No CVs in here, but still managed 11 planes shot down. So that's pretty good. Let's look at the team score and where we ended up. 2.669 base experience, as mentioned before, so that gives you guys an idea as to my 25 game average at 2.44k base XP. It's meaning that I was almost averaging a E badge every game that I played in this particular boat, and hopefully you guys understand that I had a good sample size for you guys. Looking at some of the breakdown and detailed stats here as well. Also tanked 2 million potential damage, as well as picked up 40k or 46k in spotting damage. And we touched a fair amount of bones as well as spotted for our team. So this particular game, not the hugest damage, not the biggest experience, but showcasing how the Thor is balanced. I guess you could call it. I did things that I think a lot of other boats could have done here, minus the radar aspect of it, and maybe potentially minus the torps. But definitely utilized it in a fashion where I was able to help out the team, still be a team player. However, the downfall is we were always on a cusp of almost dying in this game. And for a vast majority of that game, it felt a little bit closer than what it actually was. Um, I'm not saying that our team loses if I die there, but I think the game's a little bit harder if I do die there. And we were very, very close to that happening. So again, that's kind of why, even though I was averaging 2.4K base experience per game, we were only averaging 56 percent for our win rate overall for those 25 games played. But yeah, that's it. There's an E-badge game in the Thor. Hopefully, this whole video gives you guys an idea of what the Thor is all about. Maybe it's going to fit your playstyle. Maybe it's something you might want to put in your dock as a boat that you want to occasionally play or take out with buddies, or you could utilize it in divisions, or you think you might be really, really good at it as a solo player. But that's kind of going to be the requirement or expectation for this particular boat for an E. So hope you guys all appreciate that. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day and a great start to your weekend. I'll be on live on Twitch and a little bit streaming. Hope you guys all stop by and we'll see you later. Laters.